Hi there, I'm James Faulkner and welcome to this video series on trends in wealth management. I'm happy to be joined here with Joe Mrak, our Global Head of Wealth Management. Joe, thanks for joining me.
Hey, happy to be here.
Joe, talk to me about technology and how it's within the wealth space affecting the landscape. What's going on within the technology world?
There's lots of interesting trends. It's one to watch that a lot of people like to talk about, and you see in the press often, is around the Robos,
okay,
right? And what they do, or some of these smaller fintech companies and how they've become the innovators of our space, right? Yep. Which is interesting. They definitely have a ability to be nimble and be able to create innovative and interesting technologies, and maybe even go into asset classes and things other people wouldn't, like crypto and whatnot. So you're seeing an evolution there. Our job here at Refinitiv, right, is to help everybody be able to take advantage of those trends and bring them to life. And so a lot of our large banks come to us and say, well, I like what those guys are doing. How do I do it? And so we work with them to think through that. And one of the key things that they're really looking is how do I engage my customers digitally? Right? And when we say digitally, it's kind of a wide open term in a lot of ways, but it's really creating it's web based. It's certainly mobile. I think you look at most people, certain regions of the world. This right here is probably the most important tool, and some of them don't even get on a laptop or even own a laptop. It's kind of interesting today because it's really changed. That evolution has changed.
Correct.
So we have to think through all of the different type of customer interactions that any one of our clients might have, and so we're really taking time to think about that, thinking about how that impacts the advisor, and how can the advisor and a client then be collaborative through this technology.
Yeah, you brought your phone out there, and it reminded me, because who are the biggest adapters of technology? Would you say it's more the older generation, maybe 50 to 60-year-olds, or would it be the younger Y2K millennials?
Well, I think they all adapt it, but they adapt it in different ways.
Okay.
Even if I think about my parents, and I think about my mom. My mom always talks about how she wants to go online and see her investments. She doesn't really feel like talking to anybody, right? So, but I know how my mom's going to interact. I don't even think my mom knows how to use an iPad. I finally got her an iPhone probably a couple years ago, right? So okay. She's getting on a laptop, and she wants to be able to go to a page and be able to see it, right? But if you go down and you go to the next generation, they, like I said, that some of them don't even use laptops anymore, right? They can type on this thing faster than they could type on a keyboard.
Correct.
So it's and you see there's a really big trend actually. If you go and look at the Asia market, it's actually really interesting, right? Because they're really going after that next generation and helping them learn to invest and creating different programs to allow them to do that, and it's all mobile. Everything. It's on your phone. I want to be able to trade. I can either trade, or they'll set up portfolios made of probably mostly passive or easy portfolios to utilize, and allow them to invest just directly into those portfolios. But it's all done on the mobile.
Yeah, you mentioned passive. What's your thoughts on, let's say, the rise of ETFs, passive versus active? Yeah,
it's definitely made things a lot easier, and that's kind of where the Robos start to come into play, right? Because if you're just doing passive investing and you're using things like ETFs, which are very efficient vehicles, you then don't need all of the complexity that one may find in some of the traditional old school wealth management apps, right? It's, here's 8 different portfolios, depending on, whether you're conservative or aggressive, and be able to just pick one of those, or a spectrum, or answer a few simple questions so that I can understand which portfolio is right for you. And that's where the automation comes into play. These are not sophisticated, investments. These are more mass affluent focused, sort of set it and forget it, as I like to say.
Okay.
Right. But the use of ETFs is very, very big in that, because it's easy to make a very low cost, diversified portfolio.
Okay.
And enable that, and yet let the technology kind of work the workflow.
Okay. Last question, Joe. In terms of the role of the advisor, would you say that it's more of a declining or dying breed? Yeah,
it's interesting. I am a heavy believer in human advice. I know everybody thinks computers are going to take over the world. I hope they don't, because I wouldn't want to not have a doctor, right? If I had
give you a prescription or something.
Right. Yeah. So investing's the same way. It's very personal to people. It's very important to people. It's their money, and the more money that you have, you tend to be more complex with it. right? Whether it's a tax situation or it's I want to invest in a small company or I want to do this or that. I don't think the role of the advisor goes away. I think that the key is to make them more efficient. There are less advisors today. There's less people getting into the business from that perspective. So let's make them efficient. But I think that they're here to stay. At least in my lifetime, they'll be around. But I don't ever see it going away. It's too important to people.
No worries. Joe, thank you so much for your time. Speak to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.